All right, today we're diving into something that's way more than just a programming language. We're talking about a single idea, an idea so revolutionary it completely changed, well, pretty much everything about our digital world.
So, have you ever wondered what this little coffee cup is all about? You've seen it, right? Maybe installing some software or on an old phone. It might seem small, but it's the symbol for something absolutely huge, a promise that totally flipped the script on how we build technology. You see, before this came along, making software was, well, it was a mess, a real headache. A programmer would pour their heart into writing code for one computer, but if they wanted it to work on a different computer, tough luck. They'd basically have to start from scratch. But then, this new language showed up, and it was built around one single game-changing idea. And this was it. Write once, run anywhere. I know, it sounds almost obvious today, doesn't it? But back in the early 90s, this was the holy grail for programmers. It was just a dream. The idea that you could write your code one time and have it just work on a Mac, on a Windows PC, on a Linux box, anything. And Java was the language that promised to make that dream a reality. So how on earth did they pull it off? Well, it all started with a mission to just clean things up. The first big step was to attack the crazy complexity that made programming so frustrating and difficult for so many people. So Java's first move was pretty radical. On the left, you've got the old way of doing things. You had these really complex features like pointers, which gave programmers a ton of power. But man, they were also a one-way ticket to creating bugs and crashes. Java's approach, over on the right, was to just get rid of all that. It focused on a super straightforward, clean syntax that was way easier and honestly much safer for developers to work with. Okay, now don't get hung up on the code here. You don't need to be a programmer. Just look at how clean it is. This one little line is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. It does exactly what you think it does. It tells the computer, hey, print the message Geeks for Geeks to the screen. That's it. Simple, readable, no magic tricks. But being simple wasn't enough. Java also had to bring some serious organization to the party, and it did that by being object-oriented. Now, I know that sounds like a super technical buzzword, but stick with me, because the idea is actually brilliant. Instead of writing these long, tangled messes of code, you build your software using these little self-contained objects that are basically models of things from the real world. Here's a great way to think about it. Imagine you create a blueprint, in Java that's called a class, for a student. The blueprint says, okay, every student is going to have a name and an age. Then, using that one blueprint, you can create as many individual student objects as you want, and each one gets its own name and its own age. It's just a genius way to keep massive software projects organized. Okay, so we've got a language that's simple and super organized. Great. But how does that connect back to the main event, the run anywhere magic trick? Well, the secret is all in this one super clever intermediate step. And the answer is a little thing called bytecode. Here's the deal. When a developer writes their Java code, it doesn't get translated directly for a Mac or directly for a PC. Nope. Instead, it gets compiled into this special universal language called bytecode. You can think of it like a universal translator for computers. It's this neutral language that any machine can be taught to speak. So here's how that whole process works, step by step. Step 1, the developer writes the Java code. Easy enough. Step 2, a special program called a compiler turns that code into our universal bytecode. And now for the most important part, step 3. There's a piece of software on your machine called the Java Virtual Machine, or JVM for short, that acts as the final translator. It takes that exact same bytecode and makes it run, no matter if you're on a Windows PC, a Mac, whatever. That JVM, that is the secret sauce. That's what makes the run anywhere promise a reality. So Java was simple to write, and it could run absolutely anywhere. But for big, serious companies to bet their entire businesses on it, it needed to be more than just clever. It had to be rock solid, powerful, and totally reliable. And this is why it became such an industry giant. Java was built from the ground up to be a total workhorse. For one, it's super secure. It's designed to catch mistakes before the program even runs. It's also really robust, meaning it can handle errors without just completely crashing on you. And my absolute favorite feature? Automatic memory management. Seriously, think of it like a little robot inside your program that's constantly tidying up after itself. It prevents these nasty problems called memory leaks that used to be the bane of every programmer's existence.
And then there's the raw power. Java was one of the first languages designed for something called multi-threading. This is a huge deal. It's basically the ability for a program to do multiple things at the exact same time, which lets it really make the most out of a computer's horsepower. The best way to picture this is to think of a chef in a really busy kitchen. A chef who can only do one thing at a time is going to be pretty slow, right? But a multi-threaded chef, they're a superstar. They can be chopping veggies with one hand, stirring a sauce with the other, and keeping an eye on the oven all at the same time. That's multi-threading. And that's exactly why modern games and complex apps feel so incredibly snappy and responsive. It's because they're juggling a dozen tasks at once, all thanks to this powerhouse feature in Java. You know, a programming language is never just about the code itself. Its real, lasting power comes from the whole ecosystem, the tools, the libraries, and the community of people that builds up around it. And Java gave developers a massive head start right out of the gate with its huge standard library. I mean, think of it like getting a giant, pre-stocked toolbox. Instead of having to build every single little thing from scratch, they got ready-made tools for all the common stuff: handling files, connecting to the internet, talking to databases, security, you name it. This saved a ridiculous amount of time and let developers actually focus on the creative part, building their cool new app. And don't think for a second that Java is some old, dusty language. It has kept evolving. What you're seeing here is a modern feature called a lambda expression. Again, don't worry about the syntax. The big takeaway is that it lets developers write really powerful code in a much shorter, cleaner way. It's just one example of how Java is constantly modernizing to keep up with the times. So when you put it all together, the features, the tools, the evolution, it's no wonder Java became a master of integration. It is the language that powers pretty much every Android app on the planet. It's the backbone for huge, large-scale web services. And on top of all that, it's supported by this massive, global community of developers who are always helping each other out. Okay, so here's the bottom line. After all these decades, and with all these new, flashy languages popping up every year, why do we still care about Java? Why does it still matter so much? Well, this number right here is a pretty good place to start. Just let that sink in for a second. It's an absolutely mind-boggling number, and it really drives home the sheer scale of Java's impact. Yup, it's estimated that over 3 billion devices are running Java as we speak. That original promise, write once, run anywhere, wasn't just some clever marketing slogan. It became the actual foundation for so much of our modern world. It's in your phone, it's in the servers that run your favorite websites, it might even be in your car. It didn't just promise, it delivered, big time. And that really leaves us with a huge question to chew on, doesn't it? Java proved that one powerful, simple idea could completely reshape an entire industry. So as we look to the future, what's next? What's going to be the next write once, run anywhere idea that changes everything all over again?